Unfortunately, there's no photographic evidence that I ever met David Bowie. It could be a complete fabrication. However, I think the hologram of David Bowie speaks for itself. I was fortunate enough to meet David Bowie back in 1995 at the Bond Street Gallery in London. I was invited as a guest to David's private view. David was having an exhibition of his first paintings and etchings. I turned up early, everyone else turned up very late. Everyone was completely scared witless to talk to him, and I walked over because I could see how vulnerable he was, and I was a fan. And we struck up a friendship. You know, within a couple of minutes, I was walking around the gallery with David, straightening the pictures. I think it was about 6 months after I'd met David at the gallery, I had a phone call from David's agent, who asked me if I'd be prepared to fly to New York to discuss a forthcoming project with David for his new album. And of course I said yes, jumped on the first airplane I could, and ended up spending 3 days with David in New York discussing the album and visiting the recording studio, the Charlie Chang in Greenwich Village. I'll always remember on the first day I was so nervous, I had no idea where I was going. I was walking around the recording studio and suddenly heard this terrible crunch, which turned out to be David Bowie's headphones. I'd smashed David Bowie's headphones. Much to his amusement, because he roared with laughter when he found out. You know, I felt I'd become a friend, a real friend at that point. We'd arranged to film David in 3D using a very specialised three-dimensional movie camera. We took the cameras down to Blue Sky Studio in Kensal Rise. We rolled the camera in and there was David wearing a green fur coat. And he came over to us and looked at me in the eye and with his best Jack Nicholson accent said, "What do you want to do, kid?" And that's when I freaked out. I had no idea that I was going to be directing David Bowie. I lost my nerve, and David picked up on that. He took his fur coat off, jumped onto the stage and said, "Well, what about this?" and started to do his iconic movements, which we've got on this film today. He was always fascinated with technology, and I think there was something about the magic of holography, the mysticism, which really attracted him to it. When we're often trying to explain how a hologram works, we have to talk about energy levels, and of course there's something about energy and the way particles move in science and physics, which can only be explained through things like quantum mechanics, and that fascinated David. David was obsessed with the idea of positive energy, and he was always giving. And so I think it was this kind of almost mystical explanation of the science that he really enjoyed. We're entering an age where 50 years from now, we won't be able to distinguish reality from, you know, a holographic environment. And that's really exciting. So here we come, and, you know, much of that kind of further and excitement, I think, was carried through from David's interaction with it at a very early stage.